Hi, I'm April. I'm a singer-songwriter and music teacher, and today I'm going to be going through 10 really annoying questions that people constantly ask musicians, and I'm going to be answering those questions to the best of my ability from my own personal viewpoint, as well as giving you better ways to phrase those questions the next time you meet a musician. The first question that musicians constantly get asked that, to me, is possibly the most infuriating, is the simple question, how do you make money? The reason this is such a frustrating question for musicians is that it kind of feels like you're invalidating our career choices. Like, would you ever say to a lawyer, how do you make money? No, instead you would ask, what branch of law do you practice? And music is really similar. Different people are going to make money different ways. We're gonna spend our day-to-day careers doing different things. I, like many other musicians, make money in a plethora of different ways. Most of my personal income comes from teaching private lessons, and that's generally how I spend most of my weekdays. I also make a chunk of my income writing songs for other people, and a significantly smaller chunk on YouTube and through my music sales. So I make my money in a couple of different ways, and I spend my days a little bit differently depending on what I need to get done that week. Now, this is by no means the only way to go about making money within music. Tons of people make money touring, granted not really right now. Some people make money through performing, some people make money through teaching, some people are producers, some people are music therapists, and some people, like myself, make money in a bunch of different ways. So next time you're curious about how a musician makes their money, a better question might be, what do you do within music? What branch of music are you in? The second question is one that I haven't gotten in a really long time, but also I'm old, but it's one that used to completely frustrate me when I was in college, which is, when you're in music school, do you just sing all day? And the answer is a resounding no. Music is a very serious academic discipline, and while it may seem like musicians are just sitting around playing an instrument all day, there are tons of other things that go into music. For instance, you have to learn about music technology, so that would be understanding how to record things, understanding acoustics. I also studied songwriting, which means I was constantly dissecting songs that exist and trying to understand them better, and learning about the things that you might learn in a poetry class or a language arts class. There's also music history. I personally had to learn about vocal anatomy, so physically how your voice works inside of your body. And the most substantial thing that most people learn when they're in music school is music theory. Learning to read music is a little bit like learning another language. Not only do you need to understand what those little dots on the page are and how to play them as you're reading them, you have to analyze why those notes all work together, how to create chords around those notes. You learn how to listen to a piece of music and write it down or play it immediately. All of these skills are incredibly useful for musicians, and they can be really important in different fields within music. So if you're curious about what a musician does all day in music school, you can just ask, what classes are you taking and what are you learning? Number 3 is a relatively innocuous question, and honestly, I kind of debated putting it on the list because it is a really nice question. But the question is, what kind of music do you play? Now, personally, I get asked this question all the time, and I find it really irritating. Again, this question is really well-intentioned, and it's just kind of a personal pet peeve. But the reason I find it kind of frustrating is that, I don't know, I write lots of different things, I listen to lots of different things, and generally, I'll make whatever kind of music feels exciting to me in the moment. And while over the years I have kind of created a canned answer, and I can answer the question very easily, a better question might be, what instrument do you play? Or what have you been listening to lately? Number 4 is similarly innocuous, but also really irritating to those of us who get asked this question like every single time we meet someone new. And that question is, how long have you been playing? Now again, a lot of people are not going to be fazed by this question. I just feel like I have to answer this question constantly, and there's no real answer for a vocalist or a songwriter like myself. I can say that I learned how to play the guitar when I was 14, or that I was in my early 20s when I started playing the piano. I can say that I've been in choirs since elementary school, and I can say that I took voice lessons in high school. But there's no real answer when you've just been doing something for as long as you can remember. I don't remember the first time I ever sang along to something, or the first time I actually wrote my own song. And even with writing my own song, did I write my first song when it was just lyrics on a piece of paper, or are we going to consider my first song to be the first time I wrote with a guitar, or the first time I gave my lyrics to a music teacher and they put music to it? So again, I have kind of canned answers for this one, but generally, it's just not a fun question to answer because it just means going back through all of these things in my head that I don't necessarily care too much to revisit. So honestly, I would generally avoid this question because I just think it's a little annoying, frankly. But instead, try to focus on what they're working on now. Because the musician you're talking to is probably going to have a much more fun time explaining the stuff they're currently doing, as opposed to the stuff that they did when they were like 10 years old. Number 5, isn't music, like, really competitive? Now this question is just infuriating to me because, yeah, it can be. But again, as I've mentioned before, there are so many different fields within music that it's really difficult to say what's competitive and what's not competitive. This question is really irritating to me, specifically because it's really insidious. This mindset that music is too competitive just gives people the idea that they can't do what they actually really enjoy for a living. Like, yes, becoming a top 10 pop artist is in fact going to be ridiculously competitive, to the point where it might be easier to win the lottery. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a wonderful, fulfilling, lucrative career in music. Going to med school and becoming a doctor is a lot of work and it's very competitive. But that doesn't discourage people from wanting to be doctors, so why should it discourage kids who want to be musicians? So yes, some areas of music are insanely competitive, but others are very collaborative. Music is an artistic field, which is amazing, and it means that people get to express themselves in beautiful ways. So the next time you're going to ask somebody, isn't music really competitive? Maybe don't. And instead, maybe ask, how can I support you as a musician? Number 6 is probably the one that you've heard the most often if you've ever been part of musician-y circles on the internet. Can you play something for me right now? No. There are so many reasons why I hate this question. Some people are going to say that it's because nobody ever asks people in other fields to just do their work for free. And some people will say it's because of perfectionism. And for me, it's kind of a little of everything. Personally, I think it's a little bit awkward to just sit there and serenade somebody. So while these people definitely mean well, and they just want to support you by letting you do something that you love, a better question might be, is there somewhere where I can listen to your music? That way you're not only able to hear the amazing stuff they've been working on, but you're also able to support them with anything that they already have out in the world. Number 7 is a question that I get asked a lot as a music teacher specifically, and it's, is my child talented? What does that even mean? I'm gonna go on a little bit of a rant here because frankly, talent is an illusion. It doesn't mean anything. So your child is showing an interest in music and maybe feels really confident in the music that they're making. And that is incredible. Like, that's the best thing. And you should nurture that in your child, regardless of what their music teacher has to say about it. Because not only is it a worthwhile investment for the development of their brains, it's a valid career choice and hobby for just about anybody. I am a very, very big believer that anybody can be a musician. So when you ask me, does my child have talent? Or you start telling me about the fact that you don't think your child is improving or you don't think they sound very good, you're giving your child imaginary restrictions and you're cutting them off from having a growth mindset. So instead of asking, is my child talented? Maybe try asking, how's my child doing in lessons? Can I maybe sit in on a lesson and see what they're learning? Or you could even go ahead and just start learning along with them. I understand that parents don't always have the time to be able to sit in on a kid's lesson, but if you can stop in for the last 5 minutes of the lesson, or just be more aware of their practice time, your child is going to improve immensely because you'll know what they're working on and you'll be able to give them help if they get stuck. Number 8. Is this really famous, big, popular artist good? This is one that I get asked pretty regularly, and it's just a really weird question because, like, who am I to tell you if a certain artist is good? Like, yes, I can tell you that maybe Katy Perry doesn't have the healthiest vocal technique, but if you like her music, she is good. My personal opinions as a musician should in no way have sway over the things that you enjoy. I listen to music as a listener as well. I can kind of shut off that musician part of my brain and just enjoy stuff. Granted, not every musician is going to be able to do this, and there are tons of artists I love specifically because of the virtuosity in their music. But a better question might be, do you like this artist? Number 9. Are you going to move to New York, LA, or Nashville? New York, LA, and Nashville are great, awesome music cities, and for a lot of careers, they are the optimal places to move. But I personally don't really have any desire to live in any of those cities. There are tons of great jobs that exist in music in different places, and for a lot of people, living in a quiet location is really important because then they're able to do more home recording. I would never discount the importance of a songwriter moving to Nashville if they want to write for big country artists. But frankly, I think you can have a fantastic career in music without moving to a giant music hub. A better question might be, where do you live and do you like living there? What's the scene like? Number 10 is kind of a really funny one, and honestly, I don't think this is a bad question. I just included it because I think it's kind of funny. But the question is, do you listen to your own music? I personally would never record a piece of music that I don't like. If I write a song and I don't want to play that song over and over, chances are it's not that great a song, at least by my own tastes. So I'm probably going to put it on the back burner and not look at it. But if I write a song that I really love and I'm really excited about, I'm going to be really excited about recording it and subsequently listening to it. Now, for me personally, having a record out and being able to go back and listen to it means that I probably won't as often. I tend to appreciate my music more when it's unfinished, because when it's finished, it feels like there's nothing more I can do to it, and all I want to do is focus on the imperfections. Having said that, I really like how my record turned out, and I'll be really excited to go back and listen to things probably in a couple of years once they've left my head a little bit. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some good information, or maybe gave you some stuff that you relate to as a musician. And if you did enjoy this video, make sure you leave a like, let me know what you thought in the comments below, subscribe to the channel, and be sure to ring that little bell to be notified the next time I post.